this is Chris, CE.Simgof. To all you who follow online GSPro and Discord discussions for golf design. I'm jumping into a different portion of the course here. This is a video that follows my full, long bunker shaping video. I am back at this little known course here, just on a different hole. I'm going to show you this very kind of standard bunker and how we're going to vertex paint it. This will be shorter, sweeter. All these ideas and styles could be used for most commonly seen bunker styles. So nothing too extreme. I do have a totally separate video that I'll link in the comments. That's going to deal with the work I've been doing on Prairie dunes, which is a whole nother set of videos. A lot of the same information. Those videos, especially the modeling ones, not quite as much. There's just as much education in there as far as how to, but not edited quite as well as I tried to do the other one. But if you want to see that style of vertex painting for that really gnarly, natural, rough kind of bunker look, that'll give you a better idea. This is going to give you an idea for this course and a more standard look, but let's take that standard up a notch with just a little bit of extra work. So we have here, let's look at the material style. This is our bunker. This is what if you didn't watch the other video, there is a slightly longer version of the regular rough around all the bunkers, or that's how we're doing the style for this course. This custom 4 pink is going to be the same material, same Unity material as the rough, regular rough. It's simply a different mesh because we want a different mow pattern for our 3D grass on it. So what I could do is go down into the materials panel here. I will change this for this video's sake to regular rough so you have more of a look at what this will look like in Unity. So here we go. Now, if you remember from the last one, we added that custom shape that we joined to the deep rough, changed our materials, we added these loops that go around the bunker, and I said in that video I was doing that not just for the modeling, but for the painting of the vertexes later for texture use. So we're going to jump up here in the shading window, up to the top right up here, jump to the attribute. That's going to show us our vertex colors. Right now I have flood filled using the OPCD tools, so we have all the sand materials blue, all the rough material is red. One thing you'll notice, I'm going to go quick back to material one more time. You're going to say, but wait, there's no blends. I have removed, in the other video, we absorbed and removed the thin pink auto-generated blend between sand and rough. And we also don't have that, here's an auto blend, we don't have that between this deep rough and this rough. Not a problem. That's what we're going to show you right now. So, back to attributes. First thing I'm going to do, because it's pretty easy, is going to be the sand. Now, I don't believe some of these standard bunker painting tools are going to work now that we've done some of this modeling, because we've added extra loops in and stuff. I don't believe that that's going to allow us to use those tools, but I'm going to show you why that doesn't matter and why I think it's better without sometimes. I'm going to hit the 7 key, going to give me a straight down view. I'm going to hit period to focus on what my selected object is, in this case the bunker. I'm going to tab and go to vertex edit mode. Right now, my blue color, that is my, let's call it wet color. That will be what the bottom of the bunker is going to be, the non-vertical faces. I'm going to use green as my vertical. So I'm going to select green in custom vertex paint. I'm using the circle select for my method here. And you can change the size of this circle select wheel over here in this little tab on the bottom right. This number right here will change the size of your, see how that disappeared? Tiny. I think it starts at 25. It just depends on what you want to use. Depends on how zoomed in you are, how much you need to see or use. The alternative for this is actually, if you have nothing selected, so if we deselect, if you hit the C key, that is going to lock your view and your selections, and it's going to give you the same wheel. You see the circle on the screen. Using your mouse wheel, you can change the size of that. Much handier than using just the one size. The problem is that you have to escape to get out of this mode to do anything else. So either way works. You can just use your regular selection circle, or you can jump in using the C key to this locked mode where you can change the size. I'll just do this quick. You don't even have to hold the shift because it's going to lock your selection. What I'm going to do is draw a circle. I'm drawing what's going to be the vertical face, so what would be considered dry in the tools, okay? So I'm going to draw around. Now you can see I didn't do it perfect, right? I don't want a perfect circle. I don't want it to be exactly right because things are never going to dry in the exact right way anyway, right? Once I have a basic selection, I'll escape to get out. Now I'm going to take a look at this from an angle. And I'm thinking about this as, hey, I want this green painted vertexes to represent where there's a very steep lip. Or not lip, a steep slope. So I'm actually looking at it from this way. I'm gonna hold and I'm gonna add more right here because I've modeled in some steepness there. Over here, pretty shallow. I probably can dial it back a little bit towards the back of this right here. So I'm gonna take the back side of this bunker and I'm gonna remove some of that, okay? Because that's pretty flat there. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna add some like this. I'm gonna come through there. All right, that's it. If you look at it from above, it's kind of a funky shape, right? That's okay, I like that. You know my chaos theory. Green, apply. That's gonna be our wet shape. Now I'm gonna use the W key to go just to a regular select box. Now I wanna do the outside perimeter of this as red, same as ever. So I'm gonna Alt left click on that loop. That has now selected, I hope you can see, that has selected the entire outer loop, and I'm going to paint that red. That's my actual dirt lip. That's it. Bunker's done. Okay. Now the more interesting spot, this deep rough surround. So we're going to use all 4 vertex colors here. Now that's going to require some setup in Unity, but first we're going to do the painting here. And what I'm going to do first is going back to my circle select. I'm going to use the green paint, and whatever color you have it set up as. For me, it's green. Green is going to be not my lip necessarily, because my lip color is going to be what blends at the very, very bottom, right? This is what I would call, let's call it secondary lip, or mixed grass and sand, or something like that. It's just a sparser, patchier grass. So it would not work. I would not use this for something like an Augusta National lip or a Quail Hollow lip, which is a very cut, clean, exposed dirt cross section. This is where you've got a little bit of mixing. Now, the bunker tools would suggest that you do just a straight around like that, right? But what about these spots where we modeled a taller lip, or a taller, I guess maybe I should stop calling it lip, a taller grass ledge? This patchiness is going to climb that, because in the real world, of course, it would be harder to grow grass on a more vertical surface. So I'm going to use my select. I'm going to hold shift down. Now that I've got these two, I know are going to be green. And watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to come around, and then where it's taller, I'm just kind of going to stab up a little bit like that. I'm going to leave it kind of over here. I'm going to try and get a down view, and I'm going to kind of go up around like this. Anywhere where it's taller, I'm even going to climb this all the way out of the bunker up into there. And I know the backside, it's a very shallow lip. I don't need to do anything there. You could even go so far as to going into just your general selection and just adding even just a vertex here or there. Just kind of throwing them in here and there wherever you want. Just kind of making it look a little more like it's that patchiness is climbing out of your bunker a little bit more. Yeah, I actually like this side the way it is, whatever. I'm going to throw a couple random So imagine that this is just kind of a mix of dirt and sand that's just climbing up these walls a little bit. All right, paint green. There we go. So you can see on the back side we've got less, on the front side where it's steep we got more. Last thing we're going to do on the inside is we're going to alt click. So now we have the entire inner perimeter. Whoops, let me show you that way. There you go. I'm going to make that black. I said we're going to use all 4 colors, right? I also said we don't have a mesh that is an auto-generated blend shape. This black, that's going to become my blend. So black. So when I set up my blends in Unity, I'm going to copy the material of the dirt lip that is in the sand. That'd be the red channel. I'm going to copy that to the black channel of my surround here. So even without a little thin mesh strip, which I find kind of annoying anyway, it's going to blend right into that black there. Now also, I'm going to go to this other perimeter because there's no separate pink blend mesh between my deep rough and rough. I'm going to select the entire outer perimeter and I'm going to paint that blue. And when I set up my textures in Unity, I'm going to make my rough, this is my regular rough, I'm going to make that, take that red base color and copy it to the blue Vertex material on my rough. All right. So I am going to now take these two, I'm going to export them, and I'm going to find by newest, copy into my other folder and replace. And now we're going to jump into Unity, and there you go. You can see where I don't have grass on here yet, so you can see where I have painted, and if I look down here, you can see I've got my slightly, you can barely tell the difference because of the way I set it up, but I've got the darker dirt lip, and then I've got the patchy grass color, and you can see where I've painted it higher on these walls, and that also helps to accentuate where you've done that extra work, where you've made a taller lip, and it shows it very different from the backside here, right? And then if you look at the outside, you can see that my deep rough blends to my rough across where we added that blue, right? And then I've made my deep rough just a slightly darker version of that. Now when I re-enable my 3D grass, you can see we've got a pretty cool looking bunker now. And from a distance, we can see how that, we've got, I'm not going to go through material setup because that's all personal preference really. But you can see how that draws in and how that looks around there. Now the one thing I've noticed lately that I don't love about this bunker, and some of these in particular, I think where I was using that randomize, if you watch the other video, sometimes you don't get a great blend right here because you get a pretty, it has to do with the geometry. So you get a harsh line. Even though these colors are set up to blend, without that auto blend and correct geometry in there, the line is a little harsh. I'm going to take you over to this bunker and show you how much better it looks, and then I'll explain quickly why. So if you look at this one, much better. Every once in a while, spots you can still see it where it's not perfect, but that has to do with how you set up your materials. But it's also a little better, and that goes to a different way that you could, I've discovered to do the modeling. So let's jump in. I know that this was a Vertex painting video, but I'm going to show you one modeling trick that is an alternative to the way we did it in the other video. So let me set that up quick. I'm going to just pause and be right back in. Okay, I've gone back to the bunker we started on here. You can see that this was indeed, I used that randomize to give it kind of that rough, jaggy edge look. I'm going to show you now a way that we can, if you remember in the other one, if you've watched it, we're joining these together and then separating later when we do this. So I'm going to start by doing that. I'm not going to go over the details of how, watch the other video. But in general, I am going to join by merging everything to these. So now this is my one mesh, just like we did before. If I go in here, you remember we were adding, after we spaced out the loops in the bunker for just modeling reasons, we added a loop up here. I'm going to remove this. It's not really important how or why, But now pretend we've spaced these out and we have this there, and we're adding loops here too. I'm going to undo all that hard work I did. So here's an alternative way to do this. The reason that there's a harsh transition between blends is usually because there's a pretty severe change in direction between the meshes. So you can see here you've got an angle. This is coming more vertically and then more horizontally. It's not too bad, but the flatter you can get it, the better your blend is going to be. Here's one way to do it. When these are one mesh, if you select the loop where the materials join, and instead of doing the Control R to add loops like this, if we bevel this and do that command, it's going to flatten out that transition just a little bit. So we've already done our randomize. Now we're going to go Control B, we're going to bevel, and I'm going to do it. If you do it just with no wheel clicks, it's going to give you a flat one like that. We actually want to do one click of the wheel so we have a maintained border, and it just flattens that out a little bit. The larger you make this bevel, what I mean by that is if you make it like this, you're going to have a very thin zone of dirt and blend. The bigger you make it, the more gentle the transition is. So that's going to be experimenting, right? Now we still have a good material separation. If we didn't, we could select, you could go to face mode and select like that and assign deep rough and vice versa, select rough. Now we would go back into our painting. You can see whenever we model, it's going to screw up our colors. So I'd have to go back and do everything I did at the beginning of this video. And then what you would do is separate the materials again. So I did this in the other video as well. Select by material and separate the selection. So now we have two different shapes again. You need to go over here, remove the inherited materials from each that you don't want. So one is just bunker, one is just rough. And then you'll of course be renaming these because the names change when you do that. This one should be the same. And this is just bunker C. All right. Now I'm going to fast forward as I paint these, and then I'll show you what this could look like in Unity. All right, let's take a look at this and see if we have an improvement or not. Fingers crossed. Yeah, much better. Okay, so you can see how flattening out the transition geometry there made this blend a lot better. You're still going to see a little bit of it in places without that blend shape, tiny bit right here. But in general, you've got a much better blend when you do that kind of thing. And still a little bit showing up over here, but it did improve things quite a bit. And when you see this on simulator screen, you're not going to notice that at all. Not at all. And you can again play, of course, with your blend strengths in here, and that's gonna have some influence into how these look as well. So this is a pretty thin dirt lip. That's my red color. Where's my red blend? Right here. So this is where I'm going to see how much of that dirt lip I've got is the blend strength there. And you can dial back, of course, the one next to it a little bit to add a little more into that strength-wise. I'm not going to go into that in this video because that's going to be so course specific. Looks like I didn't help myself much on that one there, but I'm not even that sure I've got these synced up quite the way I want either. But okay, I know I just jumped to a different view. It's because I went back and decided to add a really quick show how I set up the blends, because I'm not doing it with the built-in tools. It might be the wrong way, but once you get it set up, it works pretty well, and I just feel like it works for me. So I'm just showing you what I'm doing. I pulled up the set mesh editor here. If you saw where that is, it's up underneath here, material channel editor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my bunker material, and what I want to do, actually I'm going to move that. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to copy it to my deep rough bunker edge, which is this one. So I know that the bottom of my deep rough bunker edge is my black color. And the reason I do it this way is also for 3D grass. You can see in here, if you were to look at my 3D grass, it's set up as a 3 texture. So texture 1 is the standard slightly longer grass. That's the red color. Then in order, the next color would be green. So that is what I painted as my transitional lip, my dirt edge patchiness. So you can see there I have a much shorter, much tanner grass. So that's the tiny little ones you see there. So there is grass in my patchy vertical lip, and that's why I have it there. And then the reason that I have black as my transition, which goes to the dirt lip, is I don't want grass on that. Because it's only a 3 texture, black is disabled. There's no grass. So that works out well that way too. So I'm going to take my dirt color from the bunker. So I'm using my bunker red channel, which is the top perimeter, the lip. And I'm going to copy it to the black, which is the mating vertex loop on the rough. So I copy that over and make sure that that's. Now, another thing I've discovered plays a huge role in whether or not this is a clean, perfect blend has to do with if you go into your materials and you look at your slope shader. For instance, I have it at 0.6 on both my bunker and my bunker surround. If this one was at 1 though, and the other one stayed at 0.6, you're going to get a harsh edge. So you can see having those match better is going to give your blend better. And I think that's overkill. You can play with these numbers forever, trying out different stuff, but 0.6 is where I settled. And I find that plays a pretty big role in that blend as well. So that's how I set up the blend that way. I do the same thing for the deep rough surround to the standard rough around it. I copy using the same way. So I would pull in my regular rough as my source, and I would go from the red, which is regular, and I would copy that to the deep rough blue, which if you remember right, that's this outside meeting edge. So that's how I set up my blends without using the auto-generated blend shape. I just wanted to drop that in this video to explain, just in case some people weren't aware of that's how you can set things up without using the auto-generated blend shapes. That's how I do that. All right, I think that's everything I wanted to cover in this specific video. Again, check the comments and my channel for the other variations on some of these techniques and much longer, more in-depth videos for different styles. Thanks for watching. Hope it was helpful. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but man, all the options are there, all the possibilities. It's endless. But yeah, it takes some work. It takes some willingness to get dirty a little bit. All right, see you later. Thanks.